Hello, boys, babes, and all of you beans in between. Welcome back to All the Blocks, a series where people give me random block pallets and I have to make them into something in a build. The rules of the series are: 1. I'm given 3 to 5 blocks. 2. One of them must be able to be crafted into stairs and slabs of its variety. Like stone can be stone stairs, but not stone brick or stone brick stairs. And 2. Terraforming after the fact does not count towards a block pallet. Now, this time, we were given a rather organic colored block palette, and I am quite fond of its colors. I was given bamboo blocks, green terracotta, quartz, polished andesite, and endstone. Now, this one threw me for a bit of a loop, but let's see what I can do with it. Alrighty, so the biggest thing I wanted to start with on this was making sure we got a proper environment for it. The bamboo was like, okay, obviously we gotta be in the jungle. Which jungle? I don't know, but a jungle. So we were looking around. I found this cute little mountainside, and I decided that we were gonna clean that stuff up, get rid of the bamboo, clear out the space, make sure it worked out good enough to put stuff into and make it feel like the proper environment for this kind of build. Now, the block palette was very organic in nature, but I didn't want to just build an organic build. We've done plenty of like organic-ish looking things. Specifically, I was looking back to episode 2 with the circular piece in the in the mushroom structure. Now, definitely was leaning towards a mushroom look again, just because it felt right. I know it doesn't have any mushroom blocks in the palette, but the concept felt right for what I was looking at. So, we got this nice little area cleaned up, and let's actually spit the build out now and see what we look like. Alrighty, so back to this part, we definitely ended up going with mushroom. Once again, I have decided for some reason that I'm going to now be categorizing most of my builds into one of the punk art styles. Mind you, apparently there's a lot more than I thought to that, because I got bored and did some research, and one of them being my favorite, growing up, was steampunk. Steampunk has always been my favorite. However, I have now discovered things like solar punk and mage punk and all sorts of other things of that nature. Now, this one took the cake as a weird mix between solar and mage punk in that concept of art, because it was both a futuristic and like some sort of like sustainable society looking image that I found, but it also had this whimsical look to it of something grew that, something made that. It's not organic, but it's definitely inspired by something. Now, getting beyond that point, it became a little harder to determine, okay, so how the heck am I incorporating all these different blocks in? Now, the bamboo was easy. The bamboo became the baseline structure for what we were doing with it. It became the baseline color of what to expect with the primary, stem base of it. I don't know what the stem of a mushroom's called. I'm going to call it a stem, but if I'm wrong, someone tell me. But then the quartz came in. I was like, okay, so how am I incorporating this? I want it to have some sort of branchy bits, and we'll get to those in a second. But I didn't want this thing to be a perfect, defined specimen. I wanted it to be segmented and blocked off in little bits and pieces, and that's where those little fences came in. It gave it this weird stringy look that made it look not so perfect, or like pieces were coming off or tubing was running up it to feed it. And then we got to the green terracotta and the andesite, and I was like, that's gonna be the top of the mushroom. That makes sense. It's like a weird solar catcher, or it's a chlorophyll. I think that's what it's called. The little green bit. The reason that the plants can photosynthesize. So I was not quite fully mushroom, kind of plant-ish, like a lichen. So it creates that energy. But here's what I'm talking about with the little quartz stems. I wanted it to have these little branchy pieces that are reaching up and holding down the mushroom cap and keeping it in place, or reaching up and holding it up. Now, the endstone was one of the things. Endstone doesn't have stairs and slabs. It is a simple baseline block. It is just a block. So that became a little bit of a challenge to figure out what the heck am I doing with this thing. So I ended up using it as the under part of the mushroom cap to just give a nice consistent color, but it also has that funny texture of something that's porous. So it does a good job for that point, but I kind of wish it was the brick version of the endstone, because that does have a very nice texture and coloration that would have been super cool to mix in with it and see how it interacted with all of these patterns. Now, continuing with the actual build itself, the andesite gave the energy of something like this was maybe at one point painted green, it started chipping off, or that it was at one point all a gray tone, and this was a mossy color that the terracotta was giving as it sat in the sun for decades or centuries or whatever. because I didn't want it to look like it was brand new. I wanted it to look like, oh yeah, no, it's peeling or it's chipping or things are growing on it, which I think was pretty decently compelled or displayed throughout this process in creating this sort of strange structure. But let's see what y'all think of the rest of this. Look at that monstrosity. I love it. I think it looks super cool from a distance. It definitely gives off this energy of something is taking over the jungle, but it's trying to blend in at the same time. I love how this looks from afar. Definitely looks cool coming up to it. The downside was I unfortunately did not get given any light blocks with this. So like inside I have torches to keep it from being a cave central or something with mobs spawning in it. But now that I think about this, if we did this right and made that cap a little bit bigger, this could honestly be a super cool way to hide a mob farm. Especially if you smooth out the interior and make this like a drop chute. This could be a really easy way to incorporate a small mob farm. But that's not the point of this. I like it. It definitely could be a functional base. I would personally recommend using like water elevators to get up and down. But you could also do a very distinct staircase and have it all contain just different ways of storage and other things like that. And then you get up here and it's all functional. But let's do a little bit of reincorporating it into the environment, getting some land back, the trees back, the bamboo back. I cleared a little more bamboo than I should have, but it worked out in the end. So let me go do a little touch up and we'll see how it looks once I do that. But I love it so far. Let's get going. Alrighty, we have done some things to it, mostly adding lighting, and just because I felt like tossing it in there, we went ahead and did a little bit of interior. Not much at all actually, but it definitely makes it usable. I did the floor in here with endstone just because the floor upstairs is endstone, might as well. Threw in this lovely bubble vader, which, if you're not getting stuck, spits you right up in here, which gives you plenty of space for activities. The down point is just a drop. Not guaranteed safety. Probably would have been smarter to do like powdered snow and some carpets. But I don't make good decisions most of the time, so it's fine. But I like how that came out, and I really like this lighting thing, which I ended up putting up a whole bunch of glow lichen because it's a very subtle way, and it adds even more texture to the bottom, which, if we do this, time, set, night, makes the whole thing glow, which I think looks so cool. The trees are in the way. Excuse me, I'm trying to get above you. There we go. But I like the way that these things look like they're tripping now. It definitely looks like some sort of electrical thing. Ooh. Hello? Did I really do that? Apparently I did. The only thing I think would be nice now is to come up here, toss in a little bit of glow lichen here and there. Not too much because I don't want this to be in excess. But I do want the top of this to not just be a desolate, dark space. Just because it doesn't look good when you do that. It needs a little bit of life. It needs a little bit of love. And I want my builds to look good both in the night and outside of the night. How many times did I do that? What the heck? But I think that creates pretty decent effect. Yeah, I think that's pretty nice. We definitely did add a little bit of like a space coming down, put the more bamboo in, just to make it feel a little bit more filled. Add some ferns just to make some greenery still there. But I love the way this came out. It's definitely on the weirder side of builds. Definitely was pushing the how do I combine these without it being just a box, which I definitely need to spend some more time doing just houses. These are a little bit weird, I will admit, and most folks would not use these kind of things as a base starter. But I like it. I think it'd be cool to see an entire city of these with a mixture of different blocks in it. But let me know what you think down below. I would love to hear from you. If you have a block palette, please drop it in the comments. I'd greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, I will see you, love folks, next time. Take care, drink water, and don't forget to think outside the block. I'll see y'all next time. Bye!